Hi guys, how are you?
Good.
All
Good,
right,
thank you.
I'll pop you on, Jason. You can do an intro of Charlie, and we'll get moving on that.
Okay, we now move on to the second presentation after that wonderful panel. We have Charlie Farrah, the senior strategic client advisor in the healthcare and public sector ANZ APAC from QLIK. Who will be talking on the topic, a better way moving to a cost-effective approach to integrating, sharing, and unleashing analytical value from siloed data assets and systems across government departments. Charlie is the Senior Strategic Client Advisor for QLIK, assisting organizations on their data and analytics transformation journey, providing support, solutions, and industry expertise for all their data, BI, and analytic needs. Prior to this, Charlie was the Director, Industry Solutions for Healthcare and Public Sector for QLIK, Asia Pacific, covering public and private hospitals, as well as all government agencies. Charlie draws on 14 years experience working within the New South Wales health system, where he led the Department of New Business Intelligence Solutions to address challenges facing the industry and identify opportunities with data to innovate and redesign practices to deliver our higher value. That's a giant bio. You've done so many things, Charlie. So I'll hand over to you to hear more about a better way.
Thank you. Appreciate your time this morning. I've just got a bit of an echo on my end. Just confirming that I'm coming across okay.
Oh, good.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to spend the next 20-25 minutes or so going through what of a data-driven government or organization. But just a quick intro into QLIK, just to help lay the foundation for today's discussion. We were founded in Lund, Sweden in 1993, and now headquartered out of the US, where we support over 50,000 customers across more than 100 countries. We have over 2,500 employees and a definite industry leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, been in there for 10 years in a row. We've got a global ecosystem of technology alliances, as well as system integrators and solution providers, ranging from Microsoft, AWS, DataRobot, Databricks, Snowflake, Google, as well as the big system integrators like Accenture, PwC, Cognizant, etc. But interestingly, we also support thousands of government agencies around the world, many of whom are doing some really cool stuff. But there's one thing that all our government agencies and our customers have in common, and it's really simple. It's a belief in data. Data offers endless possibilities, as we know. It allows us to uncover new insights that we've never seen before, and data can really change the world. So as I mentioned, we've got a really strong footprint in government with over 3,000 government clients globally, all using QLIK to meet their mission, reduce their costs, deliver high value to citizens. Particularly here and across Australia and New Zealand, we've had a huge uptake in our platform, both on the data analytics side and the data integration side. And these are some of our clients that we've been working with over the last few years. So the drum roll now is really to talk into the 7 habits. So I'll take you through those one by one and reference some customers and some use cases to help bring some context to those as well. And if any questions come up, feel free to post those and for the end of the session. So habit number 1 is data first, rule of thumb second. So what we're trying to say here is not to rely on our gut. Still, many organisations use things how they've always done things in the past, or use their gut to make decisions rather than using the data. And we're trying to move away from that and use data to really drive evidence-based decisions. So this was supposed to be a poll in a live format, but organizations where staff would still follow their gut feel over data if they contradicted it. And that shows that 65% of respondents say that they would still follow their gut feel, which is quite alarming. Secondly, organizations that routinely check the outcome of business decisions is 23%. So it shows that we've still got a long way to go before organizations really trust and believe in data to drive innovation and improvements in their practices. One organization that has done this is EPIC, which is the El Paso Intelligence Center in the US. They use data from 21 different agencies to really identify trends and uncover anomalies in narcotics seizure in data. Sorry, I apologize. I've got a really bad repeat in my line. I'm just going to try to clear that up. Sorry. So they've been able to use the data to improve response time from 15 days to the same day. And what their biggest thing for them was, obviously, rather than using just all these different agencies using their gut and assuming what other agencies are doing or what their trafficking scenarios were, they were able to use data to start driving more accurate and direct intervention of these instances. Habit number 2 is about not big data, but about combinations of data. And as the picture says, context matters. You know, so really seeing the whole story that lives within your data to really make the best decisions. Google also supports this, and they say that by 2020, which is obviously last year, so we're in amongst this, is that most data analytics use cases will require connecting to a distributed data sources. So it really means it's not about big data, it's about wide data. The more data sets you can connect, the more holistic your story is going to be, and be able to start finding innovation and insights to drive new change and improvements. Because really, in an ideal world, the data landscape will be that everything fits into one big, beautiful data warehouse or a data lake or whatever it may be. But the reality is that we're going to need data from multiple sources. We've got client records, system records, finance, workforce, etc. And how do we bring those all together to be able to make the best decisions possible? And it's about bringing those together in the most efficient and timely manner. One of the organizations that have done this is the US Department of Defense. And $10 billion is just incredible. But what they were able to start doing is combine all these different data sets across the entire universe of the Department of Defense transactions. So over 2 billion transactions, connecting 30 different business systems to create a system where they were able to audit all these different agencies, all their different transactions, and achieve audit readiness for the first time in their history. And they've been trying to accomplish something like this for decades and had never been able to achieve it. So with QLIK, they were able to bring in all these data sets and see the whole story in their data to really start having an impact on their bottom line. Habit 3 is about doubt and questions are encouraged. And with this, transparency is key. So this picture talks about, this is a picture from Brazil in 2016. When there was a major corruption going, they were trying, just before the Summer Olympics, and they were looking to dispose the president there because they just weren't happy with how the country was run and how the money was being spent. So what they've done is the citizens, they expect a certain level of transparency these days. So with new leadership came new opportunities, and transparency was a key priority of that. So what we did is work with the Ministry of Planning to build a price panel, a portal where all transactions on both products and services were open. This has disrupted the system, so a major change in operations. So prices were no longer set by the vendors, but by the government and based on data. And what this allowed was anyone, journalists, public, whoever it might be, that would start probing this system and uncovering different transactions or relationships or whatever it may be that looked a bit suspect. One of the funny things we found that was a bottle of water being transacted for over $1,000. So it just shows there was money being filtered through and corruption was rife in this country. But with this being transparent and open, it sort of weeded all that out over the last few years. And the secret sauce to doing that is that technology should enable the questioning. A lot of tools, linear query-based relational approach, have to rely on predefined joins, pre-aggregated hierarchies, preconceived notions of how the data should be related. So you need to know what question you want to ask of the data before you're able to see the data. Whereas the QLIK approach is really about, dynamic associations, having that Google-like search capability across all your data sets so you can freely explore, in any direction, drill down to any details, understand how the data is actually related. And like I said before, being able to see the whole story in your data. Questions to ask yourself as a government agent: do you trust your data? If no, why? Are you asking the right questions of your data? Do executives at your organization still make decisions based on gut feel? And do you have a culture where employees are comfortable challenging with data with your executives? Habit number 4 is around governance, not dictatorship. Because self-service means different things to different individuals. So, whether you're a business user, you want to be able to explore and filter and search within predefined apps. If you're a knowledge worker, that might be about personalizing some of those applications. And as an analyst, it's about extending how you can build and modify and distribute new apps using these variables. But really, it's about not opening the gates to let everyone start using and interacting with data in a non-governed way. Because what you end up getting is this thing where a term now we call is visualization anarchy or chaos, where you have a system of record that is distributed to one person, they then pass it on to another, they pass it on to another, they might make some changes to that. And as you keep going, you actually don't know which chart is correct or which information is correct. Is everyone using the same data? Is everyone using the same definition or the same metric? Does everyone have the latest changes? You actually don't know, and it creates a bit of anarchy across the organization. Whereas the QLIK way in which we do the governed self-service is you have your system of record and line of business databases, you bring those into QLIK Sense, create these governed applications and shared libraries. You create these applications, people can interact with them as you go through, as the system evolves and the system matures, more people are interacting. But the beauty of QLIK is as you make an update to QLIK Sense, the application, that also reflects across all the users because you've got the one source of truth, if you like, across the entire database. And an example of this is the local one of the Australian Department of Education, Skills and Employment with their Job Active program. They have to analyse performance and risk from 44 different providers across 1,700 locations across Australia. And previously, they used to rely on Excel spreadsheets or data dumps coming in from each of those individual providers and not having a benchmark to compare and to determine whether or not the funding that they're pushed into these programs is actually reaping the rewards that they intended. So being able to deliver a transparent and a single source of truth across all these different providers so they can see their ranking and how they're performing against their peers and what they might need to do to improve. They establish new performance metrics into these systems, into these programs to allow people to start determining whether or not, again, how they're performing and whether they need to improve and whether they're getting value for money that way. And importantly, they were able to improve productivity from 12 months down to 2 weeks in terms of report generation because they were getting live data dumps and information was being able to put through the QLIK Sense applications and push back out to the different job active providers. Habit number 5 is around data literacy could determine survival. And it's really critical because the link between data literacy and corporate performance is around 3 to 5% of greater enterprise value for data literate organizations. So if you imagine our health jurisdictions, particularly the larger ones, New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, they operate at a budget of around $20 billion a year. So 3 to 5% improvement on those organisations equates to about $500 million of value. So you can imagine how much benefit and value the systems could reap or generate using that money that they're able to achieve through increased data literacy. So one of the organisations in the US that's worked closely with our data literacy program and adopted these is the Defence Acquisition University. So the Defence Acquisition University is a affiliate of the Department of Defence with an annual operating budget of around $220 million. And they offer acquisition technology and logistics training to military and federal civilian staff and federal contractors. So you can imagine the Department of Defense in the US is the highest consumer or purchaser of goods globally. So being able to make the right decisions around acquisition, technology, logistics is really key for them. So they've established this program to make sure that these people are trained in the right way and understand what their responsibilities are around here. So what they've done is they've also dedicated an entire stream in their hub, if you like, their portal to data literacy. But rather than calling it that, they decided to make it a bit more relaxed name. They decided to name it Fun Facts to encourage more uptake. And it allows all internal Defence Acquisition University staff to have access to the Fun Facts stream, as well as approximately 1 million students who annually participate in their courses. So it helps them in a more relaxed and a comfortable environment start using and interacting data and training people on how to interpret the right charts and make the right analogies or the right extracts of information to gain the right insights from the information from there. And everyone can improve on their data literacy as well. QLIK, Accenture, and a few other organizations have established a partnership called the DataLiteracyProject.org. It has free tools and free resources on there around data literacy, being able courses, enablement, etc. And they're technology agnostic. So whether you're a QLIK user, a Tableau user, Power BI, it doesn't matter. It helps improve your own personal data literacy, as well as your score of your teams or other people within your organization. So I really encourage you to look through these resources. Habit number 6 is around analytics to the edge. And that means pushing data out to the point of decision at any time on any device. Allowing our users and the people consuming this information to really get value when they need it, where they need it. Some research from IDC, I think, states that people are 15 times more likely to use data when it's part of their workflow, when it's embedded as part of their workflow. And one of the organisations that work with us, being Avon and Somerset Police Force in the UK, have adopted this mantra as well. So they've established this QLIK Center or data analytics program across their entire workforce. So it's from the officers on the beat all the way to the chief police officers. They've got mapping, predictions, real-time applications, feeding information to the officers that need it, where they need it. So whether they're approaching a suspect's house or whatever it might be, they can click into their mobile device and get as much information on that person as they require. And they also do some really high-level system things like command center approaches around resource management and crime prevention. And they've taken it to another level now as well by creating this Office of Data Analytics across their county, if you like. So combining data from health, education, social services, the police force, etc., to start seeing how that data might correlate and see how they can provide a better service and keep that whole community safer. Habit number 7 is around empowering your people. We really want to remove the ask, wait, answer cycle, because that just frustrates people and then they start going back to using their gut to make decisions, sorry. So you want to be able to replace that with governed self-service, allowing people to start interacting with data and analytics in a way that's comfortable to them when and where they need it. Because people are the foundation to any improvement or any practice change across the organization. Technology is really just an enabler, but it's really about the people and the process that's really going to improve that. And the starting point, really, if you really want to move to a data-driven decision-making culture, you need to create a leadership culture of improvement from the top down. You need to nurture a data-friendly and data-adept culture, and you really want to encourage people to start challenge, question, and be curious of the data. And from a business intelligence perspective, organizations need to start evolving from just reporting to discovery. So rather than just looking at the review mirror, looking forward around how the data is going to shape future decisions, redesigning practices or processes, etc. You want to simplify, standardize, liberate, and encourage your workforce. And you want to educate the users on good and bad of data. And what it is really, you don't want to wait for perfect before you're able to distribute information out to your workforce to really gain value from the data assets that you have. You know, the approach you can have with QLIK is being able to getting value out of every step of the process. You know, if you want to build a car, you don't have to wait till you've finished building the car. You can, as the Henry Kimberg diagram shows below, you can start with little phases and gradually evolve and scale as the system matures and the business matures with information and data. One of the organisations that has done that across Australia is the New South Wales Health Department. They've released the industry-leading activity-based management platform for hospital and patient services, and it allows clinicians and administrators to frame questions about their data in a visual, intuitive way. And what it does for them is to support the move to outcome-based care, rather than just counting the widgets of what activity they've served and what patients they've treated, etc. It really enables a view of the entire patient journey, so they can find efficiencies in their practices and processes. They can reinvest that money into the system. But this was a journey. It wasn't something they were able to switch on overnight. It evolved. So they started small and they kept on evolving, bringing new data sets in, bringing new workforce information in, training new staff around how to use the information. And through that whole system, we're able to start finding the value and the benefits that they've been able to generate over the years. So ultimately, data is only as valuable as your ability to act on it. So in summary, habit 1, data first, rule of thumb second. Habit 2, it's not about big data, but combinations of data. Habit 3, doubt and questions are encouraged. 4 is around governance, not dictatorship. 5, embracing data literacy and the information activists within your organization. Habit 6 is pushing analytics to the edge. And 7 is about really empowering your people. So there's more information if you'd like to get into it yourself. Is at the QLIK.com and public sector. We have lots of use cases, videos, white papers, etc. So feel free to log into that site and find cases that might be relevant to you. So thank you for your time. Apologies for the disruption, because there really is difficult to what I've got to repeat in my ear, but hope you still found that useful. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you, Charlie. Are you able to hear me still?
Yes.
So a question coming from the audience. What misconceptions do you think still exists around how government departments are thinking and approaching a data-led transformation?
I think it's organizations still feel that they have to go with the whole big bang approach. There's so much value that government agencies can deliver by starting small and getting these quick wins. You know, finding the low-hanging fruit with your data assets, nurturing those, getting some success in those, using that success to drive awareness of the campaigns, etc., and building that program of work bigger. But I think the misconception is that people feel that they have to do this one big bang approach, where you can take smaller steps, incremental steps along the way, and scale that program so you get quicker wins along the way.
Interesting. So one of the things that is quite dear to my heart is data literacy. So one of the so I look at expand data literacy to the general public, but it's also that we need to potentially upskill inside our organizations to make sure everyone is aware, so that when they're releasing data, everyone's aware of it. So can you expand a bit on the ways that QLIK is helping to expand on the data literacy of the public sector?
Yeah, so there are a few different ways. We've got programs that help, one, identify individuals' data literacy competency, and then there's a program of work to help you upskill and get to that point as well. But from a technology perspective as well, we're making it easier and more comfortable for people to start interacting with data and understanding what they're doing. Most people these days, if not everyone, has a smartphone or a smart device of some sort, and they're used to having interactions with that. So whether it's mobile messaging, Google-like searches, etc. So we're trying to make that a normal part of the QLIK technology as well. So if you have a question of the data, rather than knowing where to click and what visualizations you need to look through, you can just type that question into the search bar and it will pull that information. The Insight Advisor will pull that information and make it available to you. So you learn and you evolve as the system, as you start interacting with the system as well. And then there's also, different organizations have taken different approaches. Some health organizations have organized these data with Danish events where they have an open forum where staff can come through and just feel comfortable about asking questions and learning the system with an expert, someone sitting over their shoulder showing them how to use and interact with the system. Other organizations do other things. They call it data swagger groups, etc. So just encouraging people in a more of a fun environment to start interacting and embracing data.
Okay. We have about time for one more question. So is there any examples that you can share on low-hanging fruits or quick wins?
Yeah, so an example from when I was in the health system, if you like, we had a practice where we needed to look at our private patient cohort through the health system, and rather than waiting on data that we had to receive back from the private health funds, we used our own data internally to build an application, because we had access to that data, that information that we could develop. So we used that data as the foundation to build maybe 98, 95% of the solution. And we showed that then to the private health funds and showed them this is the intention of the data analytics and what we're trying to do. Get them on board and use their feedback to evolve and develop the system. And then we're able to use their comfort and their agreement to start building and finishing off the application with their support. So rather than having to wait weeks and months before we're able to meet with them and get their data and agreement, we're able to come to the table with something to them, get their encouragement and buy-in, and then release the final product that way.
Joining us today. That brings us to the end of the time for this session. So we're about to move into the next session. So if you want to come and join us over the next session, I'll introduce it over there. Thank you very much, Charlie.
Thank you. Cheers.